Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So one of the things that me and my best friends love doing together is sending like memes of books. And I feel like a theme that comes up in a lot of those is buying books even though you already have so many books at home on your TBR that you haven't read or even really thought about touching since you purchased them. This is the predicament I find myself in. For the last, I would say, I mean, if we're being honest, since I got into books, so since I was a child, but I would say specifically for the last maybe 5 years, my book haul has gotten out of control. I think it's a combination of just having more books available to me that like my friends might be giving away or something like that, being in a reading slump, so not getting through them as quickly, and also definitely running out of space for books. I feel like that's kind of a chicken egg situation because it's like I don't have space for books, therefore it looks like I have more books, but I also have more books, therefore I don't have space for books, so you know what I mean? So my TBR is it's honestly what they would do case studies about. Like when you like jokingly send it of like, yeah, I have a couple books, you know, maybe hanging around, maybe even 10 books hanging around. I have tried to institute a book buying ban for myself many a times, and I feel like I've stuck to it more so lately than I have because I've really been determined this year to, one, get out of my reading slump. My goal with that is to read 2 books a month. I feel like if I set a goal for myself for the whole year, it can just get very overwhelming, whereas 2 books a month is much more manageable for me because it's almost like 2, instead of being like, oh, I'm reading this book, I have to finish it by the end of the month. Now it's like, oh, maybe I'm halfway through a book going into March, but now I know that that can count as my one of the 2 books that I need to read for the month. And then maybe like I've already finished 1 book by the first week of March because I started in February, and then I've got the whole rest of the month to try and read another book. So it puts a lot less pressure on me. That being said, there are still a lot of books. So my second goal this year, outside of getting out of the reading slump, was to get through a majority or at least as much of the books that I could on my TBR shelf. The problem with that, as you'll soon see, is I don't remember a lot of the books on my TBR shelf because as we got more and more, they just had to get jammed in there, you know? It was kind of like not necessarily like, oh, these are the ones I'm really looking forward to, like I'll leave them out first or something like that. It was more of a we'll find space where we can kind of thing. So it's gotten out of control. So I thought today it would be kind of fun to go over my giant TBR pile just to show all the books that I have in case, you know, you've read them and could recommend which ones I should start with. I have a few that like I've had my eye on for a while. I've read 2 already this year on the shelf, which is really good. I read For the Wolf, and then I read another like nonfiction one that I had, so I feel like I had been looking at those for a while, and like the satisfaction of getting them done and finished and now knowing that like those are read books, incredible, honestly. So I'm hoping to get through more of that, and I also think it will just be fun to like look back if hopefully I do get through more of these books and see like what my TBR looks like before at the start of this year compared to the end of this year, because like I said, I really do want to read more books in general, but specifically more books on my TBR and really try and clear out the ones that I don't like, that I don't really think I need, and make room, just in general make room, but also make room for books that I do like and be able to display like my favorites and stuff like that instead of just having everything crammed haphazardly. So yeah, let's check out what books I have. You're gonna want to take a seat.
Okay, so starting off with the most obvious one, this is my bookshelf. It's insane, I know. I think the best word to describe it would be cramped, and I don't have a stabilizer, so sorry if my hand is shaking because it's just a shaky hand. It always shakes. But this is the biggest mix of books that I've read and books that I haven't read, just all put together. You can already kind of see a sneak peek at what's coming. So yeah, this shelf, like I said, I think I've read pretty much everything. These are books that like I really enjoyed when I read them, so I like having them close at hand even if I haven't read them in a while. I've got some Legos that I've got. I wish that I could put books on all the shelves, but this is kind of where I keep like all my, you know, fandom stuff as well as books, so I just run out of room. Like I have some really cute Pop Funkos right there, and even that like I've contained to that shelf because there are so many more that I want, but I'm like, I literally do not have room for them. I've got dice that my friend made me, a magnet from Dimension 20. Those magazines over there too are comic book issues. I used to be like really into getting comic books, and then I realized it was kind of not the best use of money getting like a $5 comic that you could read in 2 minutes or whatever. So I don't really collect those as much anymore. I still like them. I just would rather save and wait for like a whole collection to be out instead of buying individual issues. But yeah, these are definitely like favorite books that I like having displayed and close on hand. Next up, we've got, this is where it just gets messy, y'all. This is a mix of books that I haven't read, books that I have read. This was kind of room that I had easily accessible for a while, so it's got more of my like recent purchases. I just bought Sunbear Trials at a bookstore. They must have had the author for an event because they had signed copies, and I was like, you never see signed copies, so I definitely got that, and I'm excited to read that. I also got Poor Things. I just saw the movie the other night and it was really weird. I don't know how else to describe it, so I'm curious to see how the book is gonna compare to that. Ballad of Songbirds and Snake I still have not read. Curse for True Love, I haven't read any of the series. I started the first one, didn't finish it yet, but I really wanted to get the Barnes & Noble's exclusive cover, and they sold out of the first one before like I even realized it, because I started the series like 2 years too late. So I was like, I'm not missing out, because I like the colorful ones way more than the black ones. I don't know why. Like, I get like the mystery of like the like black and gold ones, but the colored ones are just so much more pretty to me. This I haven't read. All That's Left to Say by Emery Lord, I think. I really love her. I met her like a while back, and she's just one of my favorite authors, and I haven't read anything by her in a while, so I got that because it sounds really interesting and unique. I don't even see what's in here. Tamarian to Metal I have read. This one I've had since like high school, and I've never read it, and I'm so curious, and it's almost like the curiosity of what it is going to be about is more fulfilling than actually reading it, but someday I'll read it. These two I've read. This is one of my favorite romance books ever. If you've never read it, it's so cute. It's Lovers to Enemies Back to Lovers. Gunslinger Girl I've also had for a while. I read like part of it, and then I just got in a reading slump, didn't finish it. These are some new ones too. Obviously Percy Jackson. I got this one, but I'm waiting to hold off because I know I have the first one. They're not connected. I mean, they have the same characters, but there's a first one in the series, and I know I have it somewhere. So I'm waiting to find that. My Roommate is a Vampire. I was really excited to read this one, and then my friend texted me that it's like based on like Adam Driver fanfic, and I just can't do that to myself mentally right now, so I'm holding off on it. You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight, I read that. It's really good like summer slasher read. Multitude of Dreams I have not read, but I've very been interested in. I'm interested because I've seen like really bad reviews, and I've seen like very good reviews, so I'm curious to like make my own opinion on it. Wedding Crash I read. The Ones We're Meant to Find. Oh, this is such a strange book, but just so good. If you have not read this, it was an Owl Crate book a couple years ago. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's so good. I can't even like properly describe it. It's just amazing. Agatha's I also have not read. I have no idea what this one is because it doesn't have a thing. The X-Text I have read. This one I've read. These ones I've all read, and then there are like my mugs that I don't even like drink out of. I just use them as props, even though I could take up more book space, but I'm holding off. And then we go over here. A lot of these I've read. I think I've read these two, read this one. This series, I haven't read all of them, but I've read the last two, which is weird, but like they're all kind of about different characters, so like you can read the last two without having read the first one. This one I haven't read. This one I haven't read. This one I haven't read. I've got some CDs. Malice I haven't read, but I'm really interested to read. Like, I usually don't buy adult hardcovers just because they're so expensive, and I remember when this came out, I was like, I need this one. So I'm curious. I've heard it's not great, but we'll see. Finley Donovan is killing it. One of my favorite mystery series. I have to finish it and read more because there's like 3 other books now, and I really like it. Verona Comics made me sob. Lore is a great book. What Big Teeth. I probably, like, I like the cover, but I'm probably gonna get rid of this because I heard some not great things about the author, and Witches of Brooklyn I really like. City of Plague God I loved, but my gosh, did it have terrible timing. It came out like right at the start of 2020 is when I read it, and I was like, no one's gonna want to buy this book about a plague. I'm so sorry. Birds of California. I have a really funny story with this because I was looking at like the romance books at Barnes and Nobles, and this girl who was working there came up to me and was like, I love this book so much, and she just seemed like so nervous to like recommend a book, but she seemed like so in love with the book that I was like, okay, and I was like, I've got to get this book. Like, I'll feel so bad if I walk away not buying this book. So I bought it out of anxiety and guilt that this poor girl looks so anxious, and it was really good. Like, I wanted to go back and tell her like, hey, I really liked it, but I was never able to find her after that. This one I really like. I don't remember too much, but I just remember it being really cute. I got a Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson when I got really obsessed with the Dickinson show with Haley Steinfeld. And I mean, her poems are amazing, so I'm not embarrassed about that at all. Sarah Anderson, I've got some books for her. Cool for the Summer. Love that book so much. The Samosa Rebellion, I haven't finished that one. Just wasn't in the mood for it. Sorry, my Portuguese doll is creeping in. And then there's some other ones I don't know which ones these are because they're facing that way. Next shelf. Woo! We've got a bunch that I don't know what they are because they're facing the other way and I'm scared to touch them. These are my very few picture books that I have, but they're usually like just ones that I thought are interesting. I do, out of all of these, want to read the Jeanette McCurdy book. My mom actually read it. She got it for me and she read it. And she keeps being like, when are you going to read it? And I'm like, I'll get to it, Mom. I promise. I'm in a reading slump. My Contrary Mary, I really also want to read. And then all of these are just like scattered throughout. These are probably like low aside from the Jeanette McCurdy ones of ones I'll get to. Like I have other ones on my TBR that I want to get to first. Then we've got this shelf, which is already being taken over. I can't show you the whole thing, but this again mixed. I've read most of these. This is one of my favorite books ever. Cassie David's book, so good. Nikita Gill is one of my favorite poets. I love her. These are more like ones I haven't read, honestly. I don't even recognize some of them. These ones I have read. I really like a majority of these. And then down there I've just got like classics, like ones that like I read as a child and like I don't really think I'll read again soon, but I just like having them. So then coming out, I've got a laundry basket that I used to have, you know, laundry in and don't use anymore. This is full of books that I haven't read, or I think I've got ones that like I don't want to get rid of, like some of the like Percy Jackson ones that I don't like as much, I think are buried in here just because they take up so much room on a shelf and I'm like, I don't need to see them. Then I have this. This is a pile of books that I used to have out in the living room and then we moved them in here and my mom put them in a bag because she was like, I don't want them to get dusty and crusty. I think it's just these. I don't know what this is, but I think it's just these. So it's not completely terrible, right? Then moving over here, I have like my like nightstand, even though it's not really a nightstand, it's just what I film on. Like I have the tripod on that. So I got into Lore Olympus this year. My friend had bought me the book like 2 years ago and I finally picked it up and I went out and immediately bought all the other ones. This is something I got. It tracks your books, so you can just write down like what you thought of them and stuff, and I'm trying to do that for this year. It holds like 62 books, so yeah, I'm just writing like what I thought of them, favorite quotes, what you think of stuff like that. Heartstopper I got for Christmas, the new one. Good Girl's Guide to Murder I'm borrowing from my friend and I need to finish. There's some other ones in here that like I started. I've had this thing going on lately where like I'll read a book, I'll get like a third away or a fourth away even from being finished, and then I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. It's not even that I don't like it. It's just like some issue with me where I'm like, I can't finish it. So then we've got For the Wolf, which I have finished. I'm just keeping out because I can't decide if I want to do a review of it or not. Divine Rivals, my friend got me for Christmas. Do Your Worst, again, this is one that like I'm almost done with it. I just can't bring myself to finish it for some reason. Pride and Prejudice, Barnes & Noble's had these beautiful covers of classic novels, so I had to get me Pride and Prejudice because I had been wanting to read it. This one I've had for a while, In Defense of Witches, and then the Rick Riordan one, The Sun and the Star, I've had for a while. I didn't love that one as much as I wanted, so I didn't finish it, but I will go back and finish it eventually. I've got some more in a bag over here again to repel the dust that is coming. I don't even really fully know what's in here. I think Happy, the new Emily Henry one that came out last year, is in here somewhere, and there's also like some other romance ones and stuff like that. Oh, I think, did we just find the one I was looking for? Y'all, we might have found the one I was looking for. What a saving day. And then lastly, this is my other nightstand, I guess you could say. These are books. I have read some of them, I think. Like, I obviously read this one. I started this one. Haven't started this one. Haven't started this one. Maybe started this one. I don't know. Started this one. Maybe started that one. Started that one. These are a couple more Nikita Gills that I want to read. And then I have this. Don't even know what that is. The Summer I Turned Pretty. I don't think I'm going to like it, but I wanted it. Daisy Jones and the Six I've started, haven't finished. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo I have. I want to give that to my friend. I read it and I really want her to read it. Together We Burn. I did read this one, so I'm excited for that one. Then I've got Heartstopper. This is by an author that I really liked, and I don't think she's written anything since then, so I'm excited to check that out. This is some romance, and then another romance book. So yeah, those are all the crazy TBR books I have. I feel like I went through them so fast, but I stare at them every day of my life. So it's not completely crazy for me to be like, yeah, I know, but you know, the fun part about having all these books is sometimes you forget, you know, and then you get a little mystery when you go and grab one. You're like, oh, I didn't even remember I had that book. The not fun part about this is that this is not safe. Any book could fall on me at any moment. One match and this place is going up. But my goal this year is really to read more of my TBR and get through them instead of buying new books, which is going to be hard, and I'm going to test myself, I know, but it's getting out of hand, so I gotta fix that.
So there you have it. Those are the books on my various TBR piles. I also have one of like library books out in my living room. I just felt like these are the ones that really have been haunting me, truly, like staring me in the eyes when I'm asleep. You know, when I've got the covers up here, like people are afraid of like toys in their closet. I'm afraid of these books banding together and being like, you have to read us. I definitely have, like I said, a few that I want to start. And then there's a couple that I also want to reread. I think my big goal is like, I want to finish the standalones and like just the solo books first, or work on ones that like I have a whole series. I don't really want to particularly focus on the ones that I only have like one book in the series right now and then have to worry about either buying or trying to find at the library the rest of the series. So I'm trying to hold off on those as much as I can and just focus on like, again, like finished series I have or standalone ones. But yeah, let me know what some of your reading goals are this year and some books that you have on your TBR pile. If your TBR pile is out of control like mine is to try and make me feel better, that would be marvelous of you. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!